This is stories about the outstanding stories of students who have matriculated through The Ohio State University. I'm Dr. Andre Brown. I work for the Office of Diversity and Inclusion in the Frank W. Hale Black Cultural Center at The Ohio State University. Today with me, I have two of our outstanding students who graduated this past May, and I'd like for them to introduce themselves. We'll start with Ms. Schaefer.
Hello, I'm Brianna Schaefer.
And Mr. McEachin.
Hi, I'm Bryson McEachin.
Thank you. So today we're going to start off with, I want you to tell me about yourself, who you are, where you're from, and tell me a little bit about the community which you are arisen from. Let's start with Ms. Schaefer.
Y'all just gonna make ladies go first. Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
All right, so hello everybody. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. I grew up in the Westwood area, which is basically majority Black. My community is a very family-oriented community. In Cincinnati, we are big on neighborhoods. So if you are from Westwood, you are a person who knows everybody on the block that you live on. And majority of them look like you. They are people of color, whether that be Black, white, whether that be Hispanic. We are just connected. Like, it's a tight-knit community. When you go outside, you're going to see little kids from this street, that street playing together. It's just, I feel like when you go to Cincinnati, everybody does make you feel welcome just because of how tight we are in our communities. Okay, Bryson.
All right. So, hey, Bryson McEachin here. So I'm from New York City. I was born in the Bronx, and all my family in New York is pretty much originated in the Bronx. And about when I was like 8 or 9-ish, my mom and I moved to Harlem. So we've been living there for like the past 14, 15 years. I love Harlem. I've definitely, even though I wasn't born in this community, I went to the elementary school right across the street from my apartment building. So I definitely grew up with a lot of kids in the neighborhood, and I love Harlem. It's definitely different from my other neighborhood. I definitely go outside more here. It's full of history, and it has great cultural roots and stuff like that. Unfortunately, over the past couple years or so, or about the time when I moved here, as you know, as a lot of people know, New York City has been getting gentrified. A lot of neighborhoods throughout the city have been getting gentrified, and Harlem is definitely one of the most hardest hit neighborhoods and communities. So even though they have this community has this long-standing cultural, historical roots, Black and brown people alike, is definitely being overrun now, and you don't really see any mom and pop shops around Harlem anymore. It's more, you see Starbucks and other coffee shops and, trendy restaurants and stuff like that. And all the brownstones that have been here for years are now selling at least for $1 million and upwards of $1 million. And definitely a lot of more white European upper class families, and there's nothing wrong with having a diverse community or community full of like people from all places and corners of the earth and the world, but it definitely hurts to see like all the people who've lived here for decades, and Black and brown families who've lived here for decades just sort of like being priced out of their own neighborhoods where like they grew up, their parents grew up, their grandparents grew up. So that's definitely hard to see, because it's really hard to find any affordable housing anywhere in New York City, especially in Harlem, where abandoned buildings that were once abandoned or empty lots and now crazy condominiums like lofts and stuff like that are super expensive and only upper class people can really afford. So even with that though, Harlem's definitely a great place to live. I've enjoyed it, great food and stuff like that. So yeah, that's essentially where I grew up. I didn't go to high school here though, but
Yeah, that was something that I wanted to piggyback on. I didn't really go to high school in my community. I went to high school downtown Cincinnati. So where, as he was speaking of gentrification, that's something that's really prevalent in downtown Cincinnati. I went to school near the street called Lynn, and that's, you feel me? Everybody know what Lynn is if you're from Cincinnati, and they've completely changed it to Over the Rhine, OTR. So I get what Bryson is saying as well.
Yeah.
Well, let me make a clarification. Bryson, you did go to high school. You just didn't go. You said you didn't go to high school. And,
Yeah,
I did go to high school there.
I might have misspoke. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I did go to high school. I have my high school diploma. It's sitting around my apartment somewhere.
Where did you go to high school at, Bryson, and where?
So I had the great opportunity of, let me not say the great opportunity of not going to a high school in New York City, because that makes it sound bad. Although, the New York public school system could definitely be better. I had the amazing opportunity to be a part of this organization across the nation. It's called ABC, or A Better Chance. They call it ABC for short. And essentially what that organization is all about, they basically help gifted Black and brown kids throughout across the country. So like, on the West Coast, Northeast, on the South, they help us get better high school opportunities. So you have to go through the application process, but essentially they connect you to like high schools that you would have never heard of or even had access to. So they're affiliated with boarding schools all across the country. They're affiliated with private schools, and they also have this program called the Community School Program, where essentially uh, they find a town, or a town with enough funding and stuff like that. It's typically a white suburban town, which is in wealthy town also, and they essentially build a house in that town, and they have about, it depends on how big the house is. I know mine was about 8 kids, so I think like 6 to 8 students or scholars living in the house, but going to the public school in that town, in that small town. And typically it's a above average public school. That it's a great school. And so the program I did was I went to Winchester ABC. So that's in Winchester, Massachusetts, when I was about 14. And from 9th through 12th grade, throughout all of high school, I lived in Winchester during the school year, lived in a house with 7 other Black young men. And we had resident directors who were sort of like our guardians while we were away from home. We had an academic coordinator who oversaw our academics and made sure that we were, staying on top of our studies and stuff like that. And it was, the cool thing about it was that it was free. So I did that all scholarship, off a scholarship. It was all free. My mom didn't have to worry about anything, and it was a great experience for sure.
And Bree, where did you go to high school?
I went to Robert A. Taft High School. They've shortened the name, I think, like 3 times since I went there, but that's the high school I went to.
Okay. Well, and obviously that's very different backgrounds. Obviously, you being a native Ohioan, and Bryson coming all the way from New York City. Ohio State. Why did you both choose to attend The Ohio State University?
I'm gonna go first because I feel like it's obvious. So I got into the Young Scholars Program, which is also a program that is a part of ODI, and I want to say my 10th grade. Normally they say abduct, and I don't really like saying that. But they abduct people in the 6th grade, but I got to Taft, and I want to say my 10th grade year, my counselor came to me and was like, you're number 3 in the class. Sign these papers and, get these papers filled out, and you'll have a need-based scholarship to The Ohio State University. At this point, I was already going on college tours. I was already, going to different cities, states, just looking at different colleges. So I chose Ohio State because it was, for one, the place is close to home, the place closest to home. Because I always said, like, I don't want to go out of state just too soon, because that's kind of scary. So Bryson, I commend you for that. I'm 2 hours away. They gave me money for it. I had the grades for it. They told me to maintain a GPA, go to a PWI where I felt like I can make a difference, because someone asked of color and light skin. It was like, okay, this is a PWI, but I also could find my place. And then the fact that YSP was really good on bringing me to the campus like 2 years ahead of time. So that was something that definitely made me, choose Ohio State, because I felt more like I could find my family there, especially like always having meetings at the Hale Center as well. So.
And for the people out there who don't know what YSP is, would you mind sharing what YSP is?
All right, so that's a lot. So, because when I came in, you probably have to cut this part out, but when I got in the scholarship program, I was told that it was a full scholarship. And then my second year being in college, they told me it was a need-based scholarship. So basically, this is not a full-based scholarship. YSP is not a school-based scholarship. It is a academically funded scholarship that goes, I want to say we have 9 cities. I should have worn my shirt. We have 9 cities around Ohio that choose, I want to say, about up to like 20 kids from Ohio-based schools, high schools, public schools. It has to be from Ohio and public schools. And they basically fund low-income housings. So basically, if you are a first generation in your family, then you qualify for YSP. And so basically, you still apply for FAFSA, you still apply for other scholarships, you still get the scholarships that come from your individual school, but they will fund the rest of what you need and that your family can account for. And then YSP, I can go deeper. YSP is a family. They basically provide counselors, tutoring, programs that prepare you before you actually get to college, which is what I mentioned before. So I was actually a peer leader for YSP, and what we did was we gave students a tour of the school. We helped them fill out their FAFSA, helped them apply for colleges. And don't get me wrong, YSP is Ohio State-based organization, but it does encourage you to still keep your options open. So don't think, oh, they just told her that they would give her money and she went to Ohio State. It was not like that. They told us this is a choice that you have. Just because you are filling out this paperwork and completing these programs, you still have a choice to go to another school. Okay, so I don't know.
And Bryson, why did you choose to go to the Ohio State University?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question I've been asked for the past 4 years from everybody at OSU. Is like, why would you leave New York and stuff like that? Well, the funny thing is, when I first started the college process, you can say like the end of my junior year, Ohio State really wasn't on my radar. Like, I knew it was like, oh, I know like Ohio State football, like I know them for that, but I didn't really know the anything really about the school. I mean, I've never been to Ohio. I never really talked about Ohio really ever. And that's one of the things I can really have to credit my my counselors at ABC. We had essentially, she was a college counselor, and she helped all the seniors with like the college applications and getting scholarships and stuff like that. Doe Coover, she was great. She blessed it for everybody. But she essentially, she had me doing all these things for schools. Like, I joined a crew team to get a scholarship. I was a wrestler in high school, so she was getting me, meetings with like all these D3 schools, trying to get like a scholarship. And she essentially told me like, there's a school, Ohio State, and I think you would really like it. I want you to apply. And if Doe says apply, you got to do it. So she was that cool. And then so I applied, and then I got in. And then let's see, I went to visit. The funny thing is, somebody in my town, she actually goes to Ohio State. Her family is from Ohio, from Worthington, Ohio. So, and her mom worked with the program at Winchester ABC. So I had a connection there, and through her, I was able to visit Ohio State over spring break of my senior year, and I was able to stay with her grandmother, and that was pretty cool. But I got to see Ohio State, and I fell in love with the campus and just like the atmosphere. The people I talked to just seemed genuine, and the students that I talked to on my visits and stuff like that just made it seem like they really loved it. And I did some more research and found out that like the school wasn't just like a sports school; it was like a great academic institution. So I was like, man, I could really see myself here. And another cool thing about it that sort of drew me to Ohio State and Columbus specifically, was that coming from New York City, I knew I didn't want to go to college in New York City and New York State. Being away from during high school, I was like, I really don't want to come back. I kind of like, being away from home. I can get used to this. But at the same time, I wanted to go to a school where, in the town, the school wasn't the only thing. You know what I mean? And a lot of universities and institutions, they're like in the middle of nowhere. A lot of schools that I applied to, so there's nothing really to do outside of like, school or being on campus. Whereas, in Columbus, even though it's not the size of New York, it's still the 10th largest city in America. It still had an urban feel, things to do, places to see and stuff like that, places to visit. So I thought that aspect was cool. And being that Ohio State is such a big campus and had like so many undergrad, 60,000 students going to the institution, it felt like a big place, sort of like New York, kind of like resembling New York, some place where I can just like run into people and just like, like see people I never seen before, like just like walking down the street on campus and stuff like that. So that's sort of like why I chose to come to Ohio State, and it was a great decision on my part.
Thank you for sharing. So with that being said, you chose to go to the Ohio State. How has going to the Ohio State impacted your lives?
Bryson, you can go first.
Oh, okay. Going to Ohio State was definitely, I don't think, like I said, if I didn't go to Winchester or go through ABC, I don't think I would have been at Ohio State. I don't think I would be here right now. And I could say the same thing about Ohio State. If I didn't go to Ohio State, I don't think I would be where I am right now. The cool thing about Ohio State was that, I just got introduced to a different group of people from I got more acclimated, and I just like met tons of people that I never met before. In high school, and in New York and stuff like that, there wasn't really for example, there wasn't really a distinct, I'm just like using this as an example. There wasn't a distinct, you could say LGBTQ community in the town in New York City, in my neighborhood, and also in the town I went to high school in. But at Ohio State, some of my good friends were people who identified with that community, and I got to understand how a group of people feel and basically what they go through, and just meeting different people. I'm sorry, I'm like, I don't know what to say right now. Can I get like a second to like?
And y'all probably need to make y'all answers shorter. Y'all can.
Okay.
Yeah, so I ramble a lot.
Yeah, me too. I chose to people who ramble. As for I can actually piggyback off what Bryson is saying. I'm a social work major, so I always grew up feeling like I was the oddball who didn't like when men called people female, or people didn't use pronouns, because I have a queer brother. So when I got to Ohio State, the way it impacted me was just opening my eyes to a bunch of things. Like, I came in and I've never been big on politics. Like, that's something that just bores me. And as a social work major, I know I need to work on it. And Ohio State just opened my eyes. Like, I came from a community where it was majority black, and then I came to a PWI where it taught me how to maneuver around a different environment. I always felt like I was an eyeball until I got to Ohio State, where people understood, the concepts or the principle that I was trying to teach them. I wasn't just like talking just to talk. So I would say Ohio State gave me a place to like become who I am and voice everything that I've learned and am still learning, if that makes any sense. I just felt like when I got here, it was like, okay, you don't have to be the quiet, smart brain anymore. I never really been quiet, but it was more so like, okay, now you can use your voice. Now you can get into things that you thought bored you in different limelights. So, yeah.
Bryson, you want to take a shot at that question again?
Yeah, my fault. I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good.
What do I want to say? One way I think Ohio State has sort of impacted my life for me attending this institution was that I know before, like in high school and before I got to college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, like with my life. I knew I wanted to go to college. That was like a thing since like I was a little kid, but like I never exactly got a grasp on like what I wanted to do and what my passion was. And like in high school, I wanted to be a veterinarian, and I realized I'm not really a science guy. I'm not a math or a science guy at all. And I was like, dang, what do I want to do? And I chose a political science major. I thought, oh, that would be cool. Liberal arts, I like writing and reading and stuff like that. But coming to Ohio State and, being in a city where the state capital is, I had a chance to be immersed in the world of politics and sort of like find my passion for it. So I got to meet through ODI, the president of city council. I believe I'm not sure if the head of city council. I'm not sure if he's called the president, but Shannon Harding. And I had an internship in the state capitol, and I going to Ohio State and focusing on working with the political science department and the office, and being able to intern in Ottawa, Canada, and Canadian Parliament. It helped me sort of like hone my focus into like what I wanted to do with my life, and it sort of gave me the pathway to be where I'm at right now and to do what I want to do in the future, which is get involved in politics and like, urban cities.
Excellent. You're good. You're good. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, your senior year was altered. Does that take away from your overall OSU experience? Do you think that OSU and ODI help prepare you to tackle the issues you may face as a graduate of Ohio State University?
Honestly, this pandemic has made all the things that I've went through in college just hit me in the face. Like, it just make you sit and think, like, when you watching your graduation on TV and you really watch TV, like, wow, I really did all this to watch my graduation or to be celebrated through a television. So it definitely altered our senior year a lot, but I wouldn't say it changed my experience here at Ohio State. It just made me like be more grateful, I think so, honestly.
Mm-hmm. I don't think, like Bray said, I don't think it impacted my overall experience at all. I really wish I could have had, the last 3 months of my, or the last 2 to 3 months of my senior year. I was really looking forward to like walking down the aisle, hanging out with my friends for like the last time and stuff like that. But at the same time, I had great memories at Ohio State throughout, the first 3.5 years. And, I'm going to cherish those memories forever. And I don't think, it tarnished any of that. I don't think 2 months can, take all that away that I had, over 3.5 years. So I don't think it impacted that much. kind of think it made the second half of the second semester a little easier. It made it a little easier, I'm not going to lie, because I was sort of getting to the point where I was a little burnt out, and I was just like trying to get to like, the finish line. And, the transition to online learning was definitely a little difficult. But once I got into the swing of things, it gave me more time, not having to wake up and go to classes, gave me more time to sort of focus on me and reflect and sort of like think about and appreciate, like Bray said, appreciate exactly what I went throughout Ohio State and all the good times I had. So I think that was cool too.
During my short tenure at The Ohio State University, I've gotten to know the both of you, and I know you both stand out as, excellent students in the Frank W. Hale Black Cultural Center. So why don't you share with the people, what activities were you involved with during your time at The Ohio State University?
Okay, I can start. Well, I was a student leader at the Hale Center. So I feel like as a student leader, you automatically include yourself in whatever organization is having an event, whatever event is being thrown outside the Hale Center that is connected to the Hale Center. So the events that will always stick with me, I ushered 2 years in a row the Dr. Martin Luther King celebrations. I ushered those events. I also did the OSU Reads. I also did the help with the talent shows. I've spoken to multiple schools around Columbus. Wow, I've done so much in these 4 years. It's like, do I really got to name all this? Because every year it's pretty much, I wouldn't say the same, but there's a different story behind each year of events that I've participated in within the health center. But they've all had something to do with just me being able to speak about my experience at the health center and the role that I can play to our future, generations. And I mean, yeah. I've been involved in a bunch of events. That list is long.
Wait, my fault. Dr. Brown, could you repeat the question again?
Yes.
Was it events that?
Yes.
Sorry.
During your time at The Ohio State University, can you share with the people what extracurricular activities were you involved with?
Oh, okay.
In the Frank W. Hale.
Just in general.
Just in general?
Just share with me what did you do when you were at Ohio State? I know you got a variety of things. I mean, the both of you went on. Well, Bree, you went on.
Yeah, I have stuff outside too. I also was part of SWA, which is the Social Welfare Action Alliance within the College of Social Work. So, I was in an org, and I also did go to Africa. I went to the motherland, Cool. I went to Zambia in Southern Africa and was there for a month in total, and that was through the African American Studies Department. And I've also helped in my freshman year, I was a part of a learning community, which basically got everybody, whoever was a freshman, they got equipped with, Ohio State and the campus and different events or orgs that they can get into. And I became actually one of the helpers for that. I don't know, I wouldn't call myself an ambassador, but once they figured out that I knew a bunch of people and I knew around campus, they included me into that. I've also done the STEP program, and I'm not sure if Bryson did a STEP program or not, but STEP actually helped me fund my trip to Africa. So I did that. I've presented in the STEP Expo. I've did a lot. Volunteered at different events outside of the health center. Yeah. It's crazy to get 4 years and you be like, I did all that. Where's my resume?
Even you, I didn't know this. You went to Canada and was an intern there. So please share the wide depth of your experiences while during your time at Ohio State.
Yeah. So I can talk about Canada. That was pretty cool. Wait, can I talk about Canada a little?
Share whatever you want to share, brother.
Oh, okay, all Well, the cool thing about my experience at The Ohio State University was that it was really precipitated by my involvement with ODI and the Frank W. Hill Black Cultural Center. Um, when I first my first semester, before the semester actually started, ODI has this program called the BNRC, the Bell National Resource Center on the African American Male, and basically it's a program that was created to increase retention rates for Black male students. Years ago when it was starting to fall, and they do this program called the Early Arrival Program, where they select cohorts of Black male students, incoming freshmen, and basically like a couple days before everybody comes and moves in on campus, we move in first, and we sort of connect with all these incoming Black male freshmen, and we have upperclassmen too, who are sort of like our guides, you could say, or like our mentors, who sort of like over the course of the program, which was like 3 or 4 days, they basically show us around campus. We have talking programs where they give us advice on like how to succeed in your first year, what you need to do to excel as a Black student at a PWI. So that was very awesome. That was pretty cool. And my closest friends to this day, I met at EAP. Essentially, most of the people I met at Ohio State was through EAP. The people I met at EAP and then their friends, and I connected with everybody. And then from EAP and being involved in the Frank W. It took place in the Black Cultural Center, and through that I found out about a work study job the Frank W. Hill Junior Black Cultural Center was offering for students. And I was Bray's co-worker for over 4 years, and that was pretty.
I actually met him through BNRC though. Like,
oh really?
Me and Bryson met before we worked at the Hale Center, so that was like a plus.
Really?
Yes, we met at like our mixer.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, stuff like that. So, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, so and that was great. And yeah, working at the Hale Center was awesome. I think working at the Hale Center was definitely one of the most important or most crucial things to my OSU experience, I think, because, coming from New York, like I said, I knew one girl from the town I went to high school in who went here, but that was it. I didn't know anybody else. I'm not from Ohio. All these people from Ohio, from Illinois, Chicago, Detroit or something like that, or Pennsylvania or Pittsburgh. So I was basically by myself, and through EAP, I was able to meet great friends. And then through my work as a student administrative assistant in the Frank W. Hill Junior Black Cultural Center, I was able to be introduced to the entire Black student body. And that was awesome. Within like the first semester, I met so many people, so many great people that I wouldn't have even, come across. And that was a great job for sure. And through my work at the Frank W. Hill Junior Black Cultural Center, I was able to secure a position as a presidential host and with the Office of the President. And basically, I helped facilitate events that the university president, President Drake, hosted across campus at the university residence where he lives, or at football games and stuff like that. And I got to meet great people there, like Joyce Betty and Governor DeWine. Sorry, I don't know why I said Devine. Governor DeWine, and it was so that was definitely great too. And the last thing, I went to Canada for an internship for one summer of my sophomore year, and that was great. I interned in Canadian Parliament with a Parliament member, Ali Assasi, and that was awesome. I got to meet Prime Minister Trudeau. It was pretty cool, just like working in like the Parliament for like a whole summer. I got to go to all types of events and meet people and explore Canada, Ottawa, Montreal, and that was definitely an experience I would never forget. And that was all thanks to the political science department at OSU.
Thank you for sharing. Each of you have worked at the Frank W. Hale Black Cultural Center. Can you share the value of working at the Hale Center to you specifically?
Family. That's my value.
Yeah.
We don't play about the Hale Center, okay? Like he said, that is the population where all the Black kids are. Black kids, Hispanic kids, anybody who has a ounce of color in their skin, that's where we congregate. So that's my family. I came to Ohio State with my friend, got here, packed in. I knew as soon as I got here, I was like, okay, there's no more Cincinnati. I'm visit, but Columbus is my home. And for me, that was a lot because my family support is, not really high. So when I got into the Hale Center, I instantly connected with everybody in the center just because we do come from families where low income is an issue, we do come from families where we are first generation. So a lot of times you need people like you who aren't specifically, I don't really know how to put this, but we're just going to say family, okay? I felt connected when I went to the health center. That's my value there.
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely agree 100% with that. Like I hit on earlier, I came here not knowing anybody, and within weeks of working at the Hale Center, I felt like I had a home, and I had people that that even though I just met them days ago, like I still connected with them, and I gained so many friendships through like that one position working at the Hale Center, and so I definitely agree with Bray on that point. And something else I would like to add was that working at the Hale Center was definitely a learning experience for me. I believe if anybody knows Mr. Williamson, he can be a little strict sometimes, and the staff too can be a little strict and hard.
Stern, not strict.
Yep.
Stern, not strict.
Huh?
It's stern, not strict.
Stern, yeah. He could definitely be stern, and a lot of times, and he expected him and the staff alike. They all expected a lot out of their student employees, and we had to fulfill those expectations, and it was definitely a growing up moment, where you had to you had a set of rules that you had to follow, and or responsibilities, and when those responsibilities weren't met, you were forced to take accountability for your actions, and they definitely made sure that I learned and matured to be in like the professional world. Be like, hey, sometimes you can't do what you want to do. Sometimes you have to just follow rules, and if something doesn't happen, you can't say it wasn't my fault. Excuses. It's like, well, I'm sorry. This should have went that way, and I didn't do my job as fully as I was supposed to, and it definitely helped me sort of learn to take accountability for my own actions, and sort of to be more responsible as not only as like a student, but just like as an adult, Yeah. Sorry, I worded that weird. I don't know why.
You're good. You're good. What is the most important lesson you've learned or experience that you have gained while working at the Frank W. Hale Black Cultural Center?
Brady.
There's a time and a place to say stuff. So I am very outspoken. That's something that people say that can be my biggest come up or my biggest downfall. So I will say, like, it definitely, and then like the health center, we have a no cursing policy. So for me to become a student leader and have to, always be on the alert when people are cussing or saying inappropriate things or just talking about things that may offend another person in the center, there's always a time and a place. So that was mine. Like, can you reword the question again? I'm sorry.
Yes. What was the most important lesson you learned or experience you gained while working at the Frank W. Hale Black Cultural Center?
There's a time and a place, and just don't feel like what you're going through, you're the only person going through it. That was mine.
One lesson I think I learned is, being punctual is key and essential and important. Um, I definitely, throughout I think my entire life, I've had a issue with, some like being on time and stuff like that. And growing up, nobody really, I didn't really hold myself accountable for being on time for certain things, or, making sure like I'm not leaving other people's waiting, or like if I had to show up to a shift at work, I was always able to like coast and, get away with some things. And at the Hale Center, I definitely had issues with, maybe, being late to shifts and work and stuff like that. And, I really appreciate, although maybe not at the time, but looking back on it now, I definitely appreciate the staff sort of like, being at my neck and just like saying, hey, like this is important, because it wasn't more so like, oh, you're late, like this is bad because we need you to do this or do that for your shift. It was more, the reason they were sort of very strict about my punctuality was more because I think they saw the potential in me as an individual, and they knew that that was definitely something I needed to work on in order to succeed in the professional world when I got out of college, and I don't think they thought it wasn't really cutting me any slack or giving me any favors if they, were easy with me and my issue with being on time and my tendency for being late and stuff like that. So I think definitely that was a very important lesson and experience that I learned. Yeah.
It was just a reminder of that ain't gonna cut it in the real world. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know how many times I heard that working at the health center, but it was like, that ain't gonna cut it. And I think, Dr. Brown, you was the person saying it. That ain't gonna cut it. Like, no. You can't be late. You can't not show up. You can't call, do a no call, no show. It was like, hold yourself accountable for your actions at the end of the
yeah,
day.
essentially, yeah, and yeah,
But it's all out of love. It's all out of love. Y'all know that.
yeah.
With that being said, I know, Josh, we got one more question. I mean, we're over time, but I would like for y'all to share. Is there anything I didn't ask that you would be willing or interested in sharing before we end today?
You didn't ask?
Yeah. Anything you want to share? Where you're going to school at in a couple months.
Oh yeah, like future. What's
Yeah.
the next steps? Bray, would you want to go, or I'll go then.
Well, Bryson, I'm currently still waiting on a response from Ohio State on grad school. So if you want to share your endeavors, then that'll be cool.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So with the help of, keep my and support from staff at the Frank W. Hill Junior Black Culture Center and friends and family, I was able to secure a full ride scholarship to the University of Texas at Austin, where I'll be going to the Lyndon B. Johnson School of Public Affairs in pursuit of my master's in public affairs. So over the next couple months, I'll be moving to Austin to go to a new town, new city, new state, new university, and try to get more involved in local politics, urban politics, urban affairs, and stuff like that. And hopefully, you know, end up back in New York City, working in local politics for the city.
How about you, Bray?
As for me, hopefully I'm currently about to check that. Hopefully I am into grad school. If not, I will be taking a off year and just, saving up potentially for grad school, because I didn't get a full scholarship. So Bryson, let's clap it up for you.
That was the only one. Other schools didn't give me anything.
It seemed like it's so much harder to get money for grad school than it is for undergrad. So
For sure, yeah.
If I do not get into grad school, I will be taking a leap year off and just working in my field, hopefully, in a field where I am working with youth, middle-aged adolescents, so like middle schoolers and up. So children who deal with sex trafficking or um, different forms of poverty. Hopefully, I'll be in working somewhere in that field in the next year.
Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you, Bryson and Bray. Thank you so much for your contributions and your sharing your stories. Your experiences made the Frank W. Hale Black Cultural Center, the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, the Ohio State, the City of Columbus, and the state of Ohio a better place. We wish you nothing but the best, and please, please know that our doors are always open to you, and I mean that sincerely. I'm always just a phone call, email, or whatever way. We're here to help you, and I hope that you all know that the Frank W. Hale Center is a home away from home for you both, even if you're a graduate of the Ohio State University. So thank you for your time today, and thank you for watching Stories.